Hey everyone, this is Sperry, and I'm going to be making a quick part 2 to my previous video, which was about why I despise Toontown Elitists. So, this part is going to be a lot more formal, a lot more professional. We're not going to have any cursing in this one. There was an exuberant amount of cursing and raging in the previous one. This one will be more concise and more professional, and I'm just going to be talking about a few things that I forgot to mention the first time around and a few things that maybe I hadn't thought about until now. So, anyhow, for this video, I'm going to talk about really the behaviors that I would actually consider kind of elitist and why those behaviors are kind of confusing slash problematic. And here's what I mean by that. So, being an elitist does not simply mean you're not willing to go with toons who are worse than you. That just makes you a rational person. If you don't want to go with toons who have 45 laugh and level 2 gags, that is a completely reasonable, rational thing to do. You have no responsibility to help those people out, nor should you. There's just no reason why you should have to do that. However, if you are actually trying to actively go out of your way to make these people feel lesser than you for being weaker than you, if you're trying to belittle, berate, green, look down upon these people who have less experience or time spent on the game than you, that's when I think there's a problem. In the sense that I think it shows a lack of maturity and a lack of self-esteem. It shows something's wrong for the individual who's doing that because you're trying to look down upon those who are clearly worse than you, not very experienced gamers, not very likely very old. And I think that is not a very good reflection on one's character to do that. Because quite honestly, if you're proud of your position in the game, if you're proud of your accomplishments on this game, I can understand that, but at the same time, you're comparing yourself to a group of people who are not very avid gamers, not very coordinated or agile. A lot of them are very young, very inexperienced with gaming in general. So it's difficult to really gauge whether or not you're a skilled gamer when you're comparing yourself to a very low performing part of the population. It would be like if you were comparing your scores on a standardized reading exam to a bunch of first and second graders who are borderline illiterate in like a really bad school district. I mean, sure, you're definitely better than they are. I would not dispute that point that you're better than they are, but what I would dispute is that whether that's a distinction to be honored, to be an honorable distinction or something to be proud of. I don't think it's honorable or prideful to be better than most of the players in Toontown because most of them aren't gamers. Most of them don't actually take the game that seriously. Even if they do, they're not people who have agile mechanics. I think if you took 85 to 90% or more of the player base and put them onto more competitive games, which they may not want to play, but if you put them onto those games, they would really struggle heavily. And I include myself in that margin. I'm not bad at League of Legends. Like, I mean, I'm in the top 5% of League of Legends players. If you look at my MMR and whatnot, which means I'm not completely terrible at the game. Like, I'm not great, obviously. Not, I'm not a good player, but I'm not a terrible player. I'm better than 95% of League of Legends players, and I'm sure I'm better than 99% of Toontown players. But that's not something I consider being proud of. And I don't think you should either, even if you're in that top 1%. Because if you put me on a MMO that actually has depth and difficulty like WoW, I'm a very mediocre player. I get confused a lot. I don't know how to follow quest lines perfectly. I just end up being stuck in a lot of places where I'm very confused and unsure of what to do. My mechanics in those fights are not as good. And it's a lot of information. Going from a game like Toontown to a game that has more depth for an MMO, not saying Toontown's bad, but if you really just think about the amount of skills needed to be a good Toontown player, you need to be able to fight 4 bosses pretty adeptly without making a lot of obvious mistakes. You need to know your combos. All those skills do not take much time to develop at all. To be an adept WoW raider, you need to not only know probably 100 times as many separate skills as you need to know for Toontown, you also need to know them to a higher degree. And if you make a mistake, you're much more heavily punished. If I make a mistake in the CEO, like I occasionally do, and get hit, no big deal. I need to get hit like 20 more times to die. But if I'm in a raid and I make a mistake that I know was a mistake, I just made a dumb decision or whatever, that will cause me to wipe and die. And it will make my entire group wipe and die. So, the reasons why I don't think being an elitist makes a lot of sense in this game has to do with the idea that I don't really think it's something very proud or distinguishable. You're not comparing yourself to a very good group of players you're against. I think I used an analogy in a comment to someone. It's like if you competed in the Special Olympics while not disabled and you won, that doesn't make you a good runner. It just means you're better than those who are not very good. Why would you want to compare yourself to those who are not good? Why not compare yourself to those who are actually good or those who are great? When I play League of Legends, I don't compare myself to silver players and bronze players. I'm not proud of going legendary if I'm smurfing in a bronze game. I would be proud of myself if I played in diamond and I did pretty well, or if I carried in diamond, maybe. But I'm not going to be proud of carrying a bronze game because I'm not comparing myself to a group of skilled players or a group of players even at my own skill level. So to all of you out there who have some experience on Toontown, you're pretty good at the game. I don't want to take that away from you because you are pretty good at the game. What I would encourage you to do instead of being an elitist, looking down upon those who you're better than, greening them, traumatizing them, harassing them, trying to make yourself feel better than them, instead of feeling insecure enough that you have to make yourself feel better than those who are obviously worse than you, why not focus on trying to compare yourself to those who are great? Why not, in addition to playing Toontown, you pick up another competitive game and try to get really good at that game and compare yourself to those who are great? Why not try to speed run against people like Clark the Orange Cat and Legendary Ninja Dog and try to compare yourself to those who are actually quite great at this game? Don't be proud of being better than the worst at this game. Instead, try to compare yourself and aspire to those who are best. That's all I'm going to leave you with today. I don't want to make this video too long. Hopefully this one is a little bit more positive, uplifting, thought out, and not as ranty. And that's all I wanted to say. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in another video soon. Goodbye.